Hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez here. Every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, we talk about all the action inside of the ring, from AEW to WWE to Ring of Honor, TNA. We touch on the MLW, the NWA, and also Stardom. When, big stuff happens and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Of course, don't make me out to be a bad guy, but I do have I've worked full time. I'm a full-time husband, full-time father, and in my free time, I'm watching wrestling 1,010%. So, definitely got to credit me there. Today's Wednesday, guys. Today is hump day. Guys, don't get too crazy. Don't get too nasty thinking about that. Hump day. My mother always called Wednesday hump days. Like, you're getting over the hump. You're going down to Thursday and Friday, and then eventually heading toward Saturday and Sunday. So I hope you guys have a good week, good midweek going on. So yeah, let's jump on into it. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today on tap. Today we have our WWE NXT Great American Bash review. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite tonight. We're also going to talk about, recently you saw Roman Reigns make a return to WWE SummerSlam, and without any effort whatsoever, Roman Reigns has become the top babyface in the world of wrestling as we know it right now. So I just want to give you guys a couple of my memorable babyface turns. Obviously, this is subjective. Obviously, I grew up during the time of wrestling that a lot of you guys, probably like, oh, like, what about this? What about this? Like Hulk Hogan, or what about the Andre the Giant thing? Or, what about like, yeah, but this is something that like, it resonates with me. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of crazy, but we're gonna go through that. And then fourth segment, we're gonna talk about wrestling gimmicks right now in WWE, AEW, wherever. That seems like it's failing. That seems like it's not really working out. Maybe the best possible decision is probably to break up the factions. So we're going to get into that in our fifth and final segment, something we do every Wednesday. Today is our Wednesdays weekly wrestling news. We're going to talk about all the hottest and the breaking news that's happening right now in the wrestling world. But hey, guys, before we jump on into any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air in front of millions and millions of people, I urge you guys to use the GSMCpodcast.net. Hit up the tips and donations link. Obviously, leave whatever you can. Most importantly, just want to hear a chat from you guys. 1,010%. This podcast, especially wrestling, I love bouncing ideas off of other wrestling fans. That's what makes talking about wrestling so great. So, definitely, love that 1,010%. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, also the GSMC Sports Network for more, wrestling content. We also have other podcasts as well. We got football right around the corner. We have football podcasts. We have baseball heading toward, the ending of the season. When teams start running away with the division, we got Sam with baseball. We also have basketball with Nelson, and we have a fantasy sports podcast with my boy Chris Shepard. So make sure you check those out as well. So once again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into our segment one. We're going to talk about the Great American Bash. So it started off with a banger, to be honest. I thought it was a great match. Pete Dunn against Trick Williams. It was a great way to start off the show. You saw Pete Dunn and Trick Williams kind of go to war here. I was really shocked to, obviously Pete Dunn got the victory, and I was shocked. I thought for sure they were gonna head toward Ethan Page taking on Trick Williams for the NXT World Heavyweight Championship, but I don't see that really anymore. Heading toward NXT No Mercy. Pete Dunne winning tonight kind of gave me the feeling like he's been kind of, ever since Tyler Bates got injured in the tag team division, then he's doing his thing on Monday Night Raw where he's turning heel against his former brawling brute, Sheamus. But I think he's just looking for a purpose. I think Pete Dunne's looking for a purpose, and he's one hell of a superstar. And he's definitely been, an eradicator inside NXT, also NXT UK. So winning tonight, Pete Dunn, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say Pete Dunn returns to NXT. I think that'll be big for the brand. I think that'll be, especially heading toward October, which is only 2 months away, building up, then you had that announcement that CM Punk was going to be at the Chicago show and Randy Orton at St. Louis, trying to get people to, watch and attend the live events and stuff like that. Because, NXT, it's becoming its own entity. Right now, it's, going to have to start selling out arenas. It's going to having to be marketable as hell, to be honest. And yeah, honestly, NXT is a great brand. I don't know if this was just me and I just didn't notice. Like, I never really remembered WWE NXT having their own shop commercial. I could have definitely missed it. Maybe it's happened on NXT before and I was just like, oh, didn't pay attention to it. But I don't that means to me that yeah, they are honestly being on their own. Shop NXT, WWE.com, and the collaboration with TNA. It just all hints heading toward these guys are going all in. These guys are going all in with their superstars, which they're going to be phenomenal because they have great young superstars in the men and women's division. So yeah, honestly, I can't wait to see what NXT becomes heading toward the CW. Next, we have Kaylani Jordan retains her WWE NXT Women's North American Championship against the always creepy, eerie Tatum Paxley. And at the end of the match, you saw Wendy Chu attack Tatum Paxley. Kaylani Jordan was kind of like what the hell? You kind of thought they were in cahoots together. Wendy Chu kind of, giving Kaylani Jordan the hint that, she's going to be the next, she's going to be her next opponent heading toward No Mercy. And, I've never really, I got into NXT. Wendy Chu was a returning superstar, kind of, heading toward a different character direction. I like it. I think it's great and all, but I don't know. I just, she knocks off superstars. I think she beat, who did she beat? Not Fallon Henley. Oh my God. I can't believe I can't remember. But she hasn't really beat big name superstars yet. And Kaylani Jordan, she successfully retained her title, which was impressive. The match was pretty good. The match was very impressive. It was a good mark for Kaylani Jordan because I feel like a lot of fans, and I got to be honest, I'm a little skeptical as well. A lot of fans kind of wanted to see somebody else like Jada Parker win the inaugural championship. I kind of was heading toward like a Sol Ruca. I thought she would have been an amazing champion. Not that Kaylani Jordan's not an amazing champion, but I don't know. It was kind of interesting to see the direction WWE was heading toward, with Kaylani Jordan, total babyface, former gymnast, athletic as hell. Definitely could be a champion, like I said, not throwing shade at her at all. But I just, expected something different. All right, Ethan Page, unsurprisingly, retains his NXT World Heavyweight Championship against Oro Mensah. This match, exactly what I was talking about yesterday about the preview. Heading into it, this was just a match to kind of put Oro Mensah on the map. This injury from Noam Dar is probably more serious than a lot of people would, expect. Because when Metaphor just kind of floated around a little bit, and then they decided to have Ethan Page attack Oro Mensah as well. They being WWE creative. And you just want to see this guy become a successful single superstar. I know, at the end of NXT Great American Bash, Obafemi was looking for an opponent, and they've hinted at Tony D'Angelo, which means that Tony D'Angelo might lose his NXT Heritage Cup Championship. But I don't know. Just go ahead and throw his name in the running there. To be honest, I think Oro Mensah is, he'd be a great champion, but just not. I don't think he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. Next, we have Joe Coffey losing to Joe Hendry. Absolutely loved this match. I thought it was pretty great the way he got Gallus out of there, pulling an Eddie Guerrero, making the referee believe in Joe Hendry and believe that they threw him on the announce table. He's going to hit him with the steel chair, and he got him ejected. And that distracted Joe Coffey enough for, Joe Hendry to hit the standing ovation and become the victor. So I thought that was, pretty cool. Definitely love that. That was a great moment. Next, we have Ren Sinclair. We kind of talked about this a little bit. Ren Sinclair defeated Kendall Gray. Overall, Ren Sinclair, she wants to become a part of this no quarter catch crew with Osborne, also Tavion Heights, and also Charlie Dempsey. And she's in. She's in. She got Dempsey a match for the NXT Heritage Cup Championship next week. So I think he wins it back. I think the no quarter catch crew. I've kind of advocated on this a little bit. I'm not trying to, cause any, wrestling, fandom warfare. But ever since Drew Gulak left, WWE decided not to, move further with another, contract. And I'm not blaming Ronda Rousey or anything like that. And a lot of rumors, a lot of speculations, but allegations or whatever. But ever since Drew Gulak left NXT, you've kind of saw the no quarter catch crew kind of searching for an identity. They don't really know who they are. Charlie Dempsey, they made a lot of waves on TNA. Obviously, especially with that heading toward the future. Would be crazy to see the NXT Heritage Cup defended at TNA. Would be pretty badass. Would love that. But all in all, I feel like the Heritage Cup, I think it belongs to the no quarter catch crew. I like the Dawn. I love the D'Angelo family angle. But like I said in like a previous podcast, I think Tony D'Angelo's he's a main carder. He deserves to be fighting for the NXT World Heavyweight Championship. Then you saw at the end of Great American Bash, you saw him basically steal Oba Femi's spotlight. So now he's going to have to fight Oba Femi for that NXT North American Championship. All up in the air right now, obviously, all speculations and rumors and stuff like that. So moving on to the final match, we had the main event. We had Nathan Fraser and Axiom, the NXT World Tag Team Champions, looking in complete disarray. People thought it was it. They defeated the Rascalz, MSK. They defeated Zachary Wentz and Wes Lee. Obviously, at the end of the match, you saw a sign of respect. They shook hands. And then, to an unlikely scenario, you saw Wes Lee turn heel, attacking Trey Miguel, low blowing Zachary Wentz. I gotta be honest, I really don't see why they did this. I don't really agree why WWE Creative would really, because you had that reunion with the Rascalz. TNA bonds with NXT. The Rascalz were amazing. When the three of them together, you can just sense Wes Lee was happier. You can just sense that he could definitely live up to the hype. He had his full potential with Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. Fans loved them. Could have been very, very, very marketable. Could have been ticket sellers. But they broke them up. And I, have yet heard, Wes Lee's side of the story. Obviously, playing kayfabe and stuff like that. He said that, it was a long time coming. This maybe heading toward like a Survivor Series angle where Wes Lee gets says that TNA isn't good enough to be on NXT. Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel, I've grown out of them. They need me, I don't need them. Kind of mentality there. If that makes sense. It's gonna start maybe, not a war between TNA and NXT, but definitely something's got to pay. A lot of can't wait to find out what happens on TNA Impact. It should be pretty great. I can't wait to see what happens next. Also on NXT next week. All right, guys. Well, hey, don't go anywhere. We're gonna jump on into our AEW Dynamite preview. Should be a pretty good episode. I can't wait to watch it. I have it on record right now. Haven't checked a single shred of social media: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, nada. I like watching wrestling for the surprise factor. Also, the unpredictability. But then again, like if you hit up spoilers and chats, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about 1,010%. So yeah, guys, do not go anywhere. We're gonna jump on into some AEW Dynamite talk.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here on the GSMC Sports Network on YouTube. Just here to talk about everything professional wrestling, all the news, all the tea, what these young kids like to say. Honestly, me saying that right now, I feel a little, I feel like it just didn't mesh. Didn't really match. I'm just kidding. If you want to find out absolutely anything about wrestling, if you're a new wrestling fan and you stumbled upon this podcast, thank God for the GSMC Sports Network, and thank God for YouTube for helping us putting our brand out there and giving the viewers like you, quality podcasts that talk about the one thing that we all share in common: the love for sports, and in case for this show, the love for professional wrestling. So let's kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE NXT Great American Bash review, and now we're going to get on into our AEW Dynamite preview. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. We get a number of questions from viewers like you. So, to get your comment at the top of the list, make sure you hit up that tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. I highly, appreciate absolutely anything you guys decide to give. But most importantly, I just want to hear you guys' voice. I just want to hear what you guys have to say in terms of the storylines, rumors, what you guys, give me some of your opinions about some things that happened on WWE NXT. Give me some of your feelings about, who do you think is, the top babyface turn in wrestling history? Yeah, just have a little fun with it. Have a little fun with it, 1,010%. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Also follow the GSMC Sports Network for free sports contact. Like I mentioned before, 1,010% free. Guarantee you'll watch one of these shows and you'll fall in absolute love with with all these podcasters we have here. 1,010%. You have the Eric Rodriguez guarantee. So, once again, at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So remember to leave a kind, positive. I'm just kidding. We prefer it. Obviously, I do. Criticism, feedback is a gift. Is a giant gift from mankind. So obviously helps me get better as a podcaster. This is our podcast, not just my podcast. So be a part of the show. Hit up the chat. Hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right, so it's Wednesday. You know what that means. AEW Dynamite is coming live to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I got to be honest, when I think it's Salem, I think of Salem, Massachusetts. I don't know if any of you guys, during high school had to read The Crucible with like the Salem witch and the witch trials and stuff like that. Crazy stuff, just makes me, second guess, the wits of mankind. I'm just kidding. No, just kidding. No, but, it's, it happened back in, back in the day, obviously we have, we've grown from that. So, that's cool. Right? We've grown together. First, we have Mariah May taking on Viva Van. Mariah May debuted her ruthless persona alter ego on AEW Dynamite last week. We have the Glamour. The Glamour is live tonight, and she's going to be, you betcha, she's going to be aiding to this feud with the timeless Tony Storm. And the way that AEW is doing it right now, I think 1,010%. I think it's great. I think it's great what they're doing right now. Um, it's going to be a match. I feel like if Tony Storm wins this match at All In, obviously she won the title, but I like Tony Storm. And I think the way she is on the mic, I think the way she performs in her matches, I think she represents the AEW women's division really, really well. It'd be kind of like the flavor of the week winning if Mariah May would win. Because right now she's the top. She's the talk of the town. She's hot. Because what she did the timeless Tony Storm when she won the Owen Hart Cup tournament. The high heel to the face, blood gushing out of the timeless Tony Storm's head. It was pretty graphic and it was pretty crazy. Can Viva Van show the world that this new glamour of Mariah May, she has weaknesses, help Tony Storm retain her championship. Should be pretty interesting. All right, next we have Brian Keith, the bad apple of the learning tree, is taking on Katsuyori Shibata tonight on AEW Dynamite. Last week, you saw Katsuyori Shibata returned to Dynamite at Blood and Guts to help out, Minoru Suzuki, who was getting beat down by Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and the Bad Apple, Brian Keith. AEW announced that Shibata will collide with Keith in singles competitions. This is Keith's first match on AEW Dynamite since May 22nd. I know he has been dealing with an injury. That started the whole, Minoru Suzuki and Chris Jericho kind of feud there. But all in all, this learning tree thing, we're gonna get into it a little later. I just don't think right now it's working. I don't think it's working right now for AEW. Right now, you kind of have a couple of factions on AEW where you kind of turn your head, you're like, dude, what do you got? What is this? What's gonna happen from this? What's gonna stem from this? How is this benefiting the company? Is this something that Tony Khan has to address? Is this something that has to change, especially when you got a new deal with Warner Brothers? They had a trip to Paris, and I guess according to Tony Khan, it was delightful, absolutely delightful. Have so much success in the future with these television deals and streaming deals as well. And they're on the right track. AEW is only 5 years old. A lot of people hate AEW. I still get crap online. I got to be honest. People's first thing is to, kind of shoot down AEW, but I'm like, you know what? From what it's worth, like I think it started off really, really well. But of course, when you have superstars like Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill, you also have CM Punk. And they all left AEW, and you have more people leaving AEW. And it's just, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to be a wrestling promotion. And by all means, never, ever, ever like compare yourself to WWE, because WWE's been around for, decades. Not really, I don't think they're really, it's not really fathomable, or, they're kind of untouchable right now. So, tonight we have the Bad Apple Brian Keith taking on Katsuyori Shibata. Next we have Bryan Danielson taking on Jeff Jarrett in an anything goes match. Jeff Jarrett has been trying to put Daniel Bryan into the right mindset heading toward his career, which kind of pushed Bryan Danielson to talk to Swerve Strickland and be like, if I do not win this AEW World Heavyweight Championship, I am going to leave AEW and never wrestle again. And just a little sprinkle on top, Ricky Steamboat is going to be the special guest referee. After that promo last week on Dynamite, you had Bryan Danielson walking the back. Jeff Jarrett was excited and said, "Way to go, all in, brother," kind of thing. And then he challenged him, the American Dragon, looked him dead in the eye. He said, "I challenge you next week on Dynamite." It's the first ever match between the two. Double J, obviously he's still very gifted. He's a great superstar. I think there's a little bit of animosity that he really wanted to win the Owen Hart Cup champion of the tournament, for his partner. He was supposed to attack team with the Blue Blazer that night when Owen Hart passed away. But obviously, that never really came in fruition because of the tragic disaster that happened during the entrance and stuff like that. So that was a lot of things on Double J's mind. Double J kind of showing a little bit like a baby face. I thought he was part of the Don Callis family. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Or maybe like an ally or something. But yeah, tonight we have the American Dragon taking on Jeff Jarrett. And finally, in the main event, we have MJF taking on Kyle Fletcher, an AEW American title eliminator. MJF rebranded the AEW International Championship, the American Championship previously on Dynamite. Will Ospreay stood up for it, said that you don't represent the American people. A lot of people online were kind of confused that, you had the Brit come in and want to represent the United States or something like that. Honestly, I think people just think way too much into it. I was like, dude, like, it's just for the title. Like, that's just a wrestling promo. So then you had what did MJF call Kyle Fletcher? He called him the wannabe Will Ospreay. I got to be honest, that was funny as hell. I started laughing. I was like, dude, because dude kind of look alike. Dude kind of mimic each other's style. Both were part of the Don Callis family. Don Callis was not happy with Kyle Fletcher wanting to, back up Will Ospreay, who wanted out of the Don Callis family. But I think it's all going to come into play tonight on Dynamite. I don't know. MJF's going to win. I kind of think that the night's going to end with MJF brutalizing Kyle Fletcher, but then you're going to have Will Ospreay come out, and I don't know who would help MJF with Will Ospreay, but more like kind of like what he did to Daniel Garcia could possibly be in the books for tonight. Obviously, yeah, a pretty awesome show heading for tonight. Tony Khan basically said that tonight's show is basically traveling mayhem, which is kind of cool. I like that. But yeah, honestly, that was our AEW Dynamite preview. Make sure you watch it tonight on TNT. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be awesome. So yeah. Well, guys, stay tuned. We're going to talk about my best WWE babyface. People turning babyface. Recently you saw on WWE SummerSlam, you saw Roman Reigns come back and effortlessly became a babyface just because of the storytelling of WWE, the new bloodline, and the Cody Rhodes story. Because when he lost to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam 40, he was, everybody was happy. Everybody was so happy that he lost the championship. And WWE was able to get people to miss Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns WWE has wanted Roman Reigns to be their top babyface guy for the longest time, and it was so unsuccessful. But now it's successful. So, we're going to talk about my best WWE babyfaces when we come back. So, hey, make sure you grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite drink, and join me here in approximately maybe like 24 seconds.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and out. Also, superstar rumors, injury statuses and stuff like that. Promotions, we go from AEW to WWE. But we just talk about all things professional wrestling. And, I have a lot of fun as hell here on the GSMC Sports Network. So, obviously, if I'm, not, if you see somebody not having fun doing something, I feel like you don't really have fun watching it. And I feel like, professional wrestling is a gem. Love professional wrestling because, it tweaks the imaginations of the fans, also creates a little bit of realism, but also throws in a little bit of fiction and awesome matches with these dudes that are completely strong, that are completely just, these guys are dogs. I don't think I would ever be able to be a WWE superstar. Of course, growing up, you've always, I grew up a wrestling fan. So I was really like, I told my brothers and sisters, I was like, guys, we should all be a tag team and stuff like that. But, I think the only person who still has that dream is myself. Just kidding. But before we jump into any more segments, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me things you want me to further elaborate on. Give me some of your opinions. Maybe some of your, takes on some professional wrestling. Pretty badass. I would, highly, open to that. Remember the Superman punch, that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the GSMC Sports Network. Once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right, so let's go ahead and dig on into that. Sorry, switch there. All right, here we go. We're going to talk about the top baby faces. Honestly, like I said, it's subjective, and obviously a lot of this is during the time when I started peaking as a wrestling fan. When my after my late teens, early 20s, I would say. But no, we're going to talk about it. So first we have Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, known as one of the biggest heels in WWE history. I honestly don't think this man has been a babyface for longer than, like 4 months or 5 months. Like, it's crazy. But, it's just because Brock Lesnar he's so talented and he's so dominant that people just kind of know that he's going to win his matches. And I think that pisses a lot of people off. Which, all power to you. All power to you. Of course, if that's what gets your blood flowing, I just throw myself in the river and go with the flow, baby, 1,010%. But we have Brock Lesnar since he returned in 2012. He was known as a big heel in 2015 after he was screwed out of the WWE Championship match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, the Monday Night Raw, after you saw him F5ing Michael Cole, propelling himself into a quote-unquote babyface. And then recently you saw him come back as like Country Brock, came back with like with denim jeans and, with a cut off plaid, like a flannel kind of thing. I can't believe I ever flannel. Man, I haven't wore flannel since I was in high school. It's crazy. I can't pull it off like Brock Lesnar, to be honest. He pulled it off pretty well. But then he came back and he challenged Roman Reigns. Obviously, he cannot challenge Roman Reigns when he was the Universal Champion. But, Cody Rhodes is open now. Would be interesting to see, especially after Roman Reigns' return. Cody Rhodes is going to need an opponent. I still think he's going to further kind of be along the lines with the new young bloodline. Obviously, next Friday on SmackDown, SmackDown's returning to Fox. We're going to get some answers. I'm excited as hell. Can't wait to see what happens. But that was one of my, top baby faces that I definitely remembered as a WWE fan. Next, we have the Usos. Usos in 2017 had a great match with the New Day at the end of the match. They extended each other's hands, shaking their hands in mutual respect. And then after that, you have these tag teams battle each other for the longest time. Maybe this was kind of like, like a so long kind of thing because, of course, after that, then in 2000, once when they formed the bloodline, they were, undisputed champions. Not even the New Day could dethrone them. And these guys were kind of like the modern day Dudley Boys, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, the Hardy Boys, and Edge and Christian. Of course, there's not a third tag team, but it would have been interesting to have a third tag team. But no, you have these two great tag teams that are definitely WWE Hall of Famers in the future. Definitely 1,010%. So the handshake, got the fans all excited. I remember watching that, got me excited. And I don't know, it would, because the Usos, they turned heel in 2016, and then a year of these guys battling the hell out of each other, extending each other's hands for handshake is always cool, always a great moment for wrestling fans. So I have the Usos there. I also have Randy Orton. Randy Orton feeling pushed to the side by Triple H's golden child, Seth Rollins, back during the whole authority thing and stuff like that. You saw Randy Orton hit a thunderous RKO on Seth Rollins in 2014, perpetuating them into one of the best feuds in modern day WWE, especially in the 2010s. Because you had Randy, who's still on the top of his game. Even nowadays, he's still very much on the top of his game. And you had Seth Rollins, young, handsome, fast, athletic. He just seemed like Triple H wanted him to be the new guy, wanted him to be the new face of WWE. You did have Seth Rollins turn on the Shield, and then you had the Authority with Kane and Triple A. It was just Randy at first. Then I think there was a small smidge with Evolution came back to battle the Shield as well. But then at the end of the day, you had Seth Rollins, a chair shot that was heard all around the world on Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, and then that was the end of the Shield. That was insane in itself. But Randy Orton and Seth Rollins, they had some great matches. They had some amazing matches. This feud was probably one of the best moves by WWE. I was sure, at the time when I watched it, I was like, I was a little skeptical, to be honest, because I was like, when Randy Orton left the Authority, I was like, okay, so now you just kind of have an aging Kane out there. Like, you didn't really have that muscle. You didn't really have that pizzazz that Randy Orton brought the group. Of course, you saw during Randy Orton's earlier career, you saw him with Evolution, Triple H, Ric Flair, Batista, and he was betrayed. So, a little bit of payback on the game, Triple H. But no, honestly, some of the biggest babyface turns, is by Randy Orton. And, not just in this specific scenario. Now you kind of see him going out there right now, being with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. And I like it. I thought it was great. And you saw him in a small, brief time as WWE Tag Team Champions with Matt Riddle, RK Bro. I thought that kind of, Randy Orton was like a babyface. And after he got injured, after he got sidelined by the Bloodline, which I feel like Randy Orton's going to tell Cody Rhodes, like, you can't trust these people. These guys sideline me. Then everybody hates Roman Reigns right now. So when he comes back, he ain't going to have a lot of friends. He's going to have a lot of people gunning for him. And the only people that could help him and protect him is the Bloodline. But he kind of burned those bridges at WWE SummerSlam. So to be honest, I love Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton will forever be one of the best heels, also one of the best baby faces. I say this about Randy's character all the time. He's that guy who, you love him one moment, next you hate him. But that's why you love Randy Orton. That's why, kind of goes out there and he kind of does his own thing there. I got a chat from my man, UNK Bishop. Randy has always been a draw. I think, by draw, like Randy Orton always having potential or something like that. I agree 1,010%. I think Randy Orton has always been, in your words, like a draw to the WWE. Always could be a WWE champion when in doubt. Put the belt on Randy. Establish some consistency on the Raw or SmackDown roster in the draft. Guess what? Draft Randy Orton. Bam. You have some veteran capabilities right there. Also someone who's still hungry, tip-top shape. Randy Orton, 1,010%. One of the best babyface turns. And another one, I remember watching this one, not tonight, but I remember watching it, and it was just so great. So great. We have the Shield turning babyface. We had the Authority. We had Kane in a fancy suit, now the governor of Tennessee, Nashville. No, I don't know too much of politics and stuff like that. And then he ordered the Shield to attack a defenseless Jerry Lawler, but instead they turned around and they looked right at Kane. When that happened, I was mesmerized. I was like, dude, what the heck just happened? This is so sick. I loved I loved Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. At first, I kind of, they were a thorn in the side because I was rooting for Ryback to, take out CM Punk, but no, they debuted from NXT and they were, causing wreaking havoc. And then when you had them all turn babyface, and it was just so great. And then you had Seth Rollins turn on the Shield, which, kind of paid dividends, and why this moment is so great as well. Because you kind of look back on it and you're like, man, when these three were together, they were just unbeatable. They were unstoppable. I have the Shield also on this list. Also on this list, biggest babyface turns, Becky Lynch, when she was big time Bex. It didn't make sense in 2018. I think, and then she became the man, and eventually she had a short-lived, you know, uh, she had a short-lived reign as a heel, and she did it good. I think she did it pretty good. But all in all, Becky Lynch, you need to have her in this role as like the man. When WWE created the man, I felt like that was one of the smartest moves by WWE. Kind of have her going out there, defining all odds, being a tough SOB. Better than big time Bex. Better than, I'm better than you on the right. I remember, oh my God, that was crazy. I remember when she did turn heel, I was like, dude, like why? Didn't really make sense to me. And lastly, we have CM Punk, the anti-authority babyface. When he left WWE after the pipe bomb, fans remembered CM Punk and they loved him, and they still love him. Every single wrestling event you would go to, you would hear the CM Punk chants, although CM Punk was done. He was done with wrestling, professional wrestling, WWE, anything. And that was big. That just means that he was he was loved by the WWE Universe, loved by wrestling fans all over the world. And then when you saw him return at Survivor Series last year, the fans welcomed him with open arms. Like, definitely what they, should have done. It was cool to have your, the prince that was promised back, the best in the world, CM Punk. All right, guys. Well, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our fourth segment. We're going to talk about some failed wrestling gimmicks that are currently happening, and it's kind of making my head hurt. So we're going to talk about that as soon as we come back. So, hey, just grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite beverage, and hey, stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about our WWE NXT Great American Bash. We also talked about our AEW Dynamite preview. And we talked about my favorite babyface turns in the history of the WWE. And without further ado, we're going to talk about our next segment. We're going to talk about failed gimmicks right now, failed faction gimmicks that are happening within the wrestling industry. And, kind of give you reasons why I feel like they're failing, what could possibly be done for them to get back on track, or maybe they should just break up. 1,010%. That's always a possibility. All right. I know this might be a little bit too premature, but I don't see how this new Judgment Day could be successful. Damian Priest was their muscle. He was the champion. Rhea Ripley was an unstoppable. She's the best on the roster. Now you have Finn Balor, and then you do have the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Liv Morgan. But Liv isn't... I'm not a big Liv Morgan hater, but she's not the best. I gotta be honest. She's not the best. Then Dominic Mysterio, what does he do? Carlito, what is he going to do? JD McDonough. Finn Balor is the only one in this crew that has potential. And I can't see what WWE, obviously there's always something. You're going to have a feud between him and Damian Priest last until probably, I don't think it'll last to the Royal Rumble, so to speak. I think eventually you're going to have something's got to give. And once when WWE Raw comes to Netflix, it's been rumored to that they want to have a draft, kind of like how the USA Network drafted the Raw roster and how the Fox Sports Network drafted SmackDown superstars. Maybe you can have something like that. And WWE Raw wants Cody Rhodes. They want Roman Reigns on, either one of them. So, this could, something could shake up, maybe like a superstar shake up. They do that from time to time in WWE. So, Damian Priest coming after Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns going to Monday Night Raw or something. I know, actually, you know what? I don't think that would really work. But then again, it would be honestly after the fallout of the Judgment Day. No, of the Civil War of the Bloodline. So that, that idea could be worth something. But right now, I don't know. As of right now, the new Judgment Day, I really don't know what direction they're probably going to head into. And then on AEW, we have the learning tree. Like, Chris Jericho is hilarious and one of the best professional wrestlers that's ever stepped foot inside of the ring. He's been amazing on the mic. He's in your face style wrestling. He knows how to get the fans' blood pumping in a positive way, also a negative way. And now you have him with Brian Keith and Big Bill. He is the holder of the FTW championship, but I think he's, that's only going to, stay clear until like maybe Hook comes back or something like that. But on week to week basis, you just have Chris Jericho coming out being, kind of like that overbearingly like nice, kind of like that arse and stuff like that. Like it's funny and I think it's great. But I just honestly I don't know where they're headed. Right now you have Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the champions. Maybe perhaps you can have a feud with the Undisputed Kingdom where you challenge them for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. Or they could be a trios championship contenders, 1,010%. I think that would make more sense than him holding the FTW championship, to be honest, in my opinion. But I don't know. Right now, it's kind of unclear. I feel like it's kind of failing. So yeah. Next we have is the Elite. We have the Elite with the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada, also Jack Perry, the scapegoats. A lot of stuff happened to AEW when CM Punk got fired. You had a lot of suspensions that had to be filled. You got Kenny Omega get injured. You had Hangman Adam Page being suspended. Maybe that was the reason why they ultimately had. You had MJF not being on the roster. MJF is like the ultimate antagonist. And now you have the Young Bucks who just look so damn uncomfortable in this role. I got to be honest, when you're watching them, it just seems like they're forcing it. They're an amazing tag team. You should let them be an amazing tag team. And Okada, he's an international star, and he's turned into like this goofball kind of, like this white collar, you can't touch me kind of guy. And I know Okada briefly from New Japan Professional Wrestling. But after they signed him, the Rainmaker, there was a lot of promise behind him. I know, like, he's the Continental Champion. Hasn't really been that. The Continental Championship, to be honest, in my opinion, hasn't really been that prominent in AEW ever since you saw Okada win the match or defeated Eddie Kingston. But it just doesn't seem right. They at Blood and Guts, they lost to Darby Allin. They lost to Swerve Strickland. They lost to the Acclaimed. I think there's one more guy. No, I think that was it. I could be. Oh my God, there was a fifth guy. Damn it. I can't believe I can't remember who the other guy was. And it's going to bother me all night. I got to fact check later. It's probably going to randomly pop up and be like, I remember her. But yeah, no, I think this needs to change. Something needs to change with these guys. Obviously, they do hold all the gold. And surprisingly, out of all of them, I feel like Jack Perry has kind of been the only one that has been, being booked in storylines and stuff like that. The only storylines that Matthew and Nicholas Jackson and Okada are really in is they hit promos where they're, torturing superstars and making unfair judgments and assessments, being the bad boss, being that Vince McMahon kind of like, you crossed the boss, like, like we've seen that before. We've seen that before AEW. Something needs to change. 1,010%. I, stick by that answer. Next, we have the Final Testament. The Final Testament, ever since I saw AOP Authors of Pain make a return, I thought something big was going to happen in terms of Karrion Kross's career. Maybe even Starlet's. I'm just kidding. No, but it was huge. It was huge. And then they went to NXT. They failed to beat Axiom and Nathan Fraser. Then they came back, couldn't beat The Miz and R-Truth. And right now they're just kind of floating around. They're having a feud with the New Day. Now you have the Wyatt Six. You kind of have creepy with eerie kind of meshed together at the same time, where the Final Testament's supposed to be, crazy bastards and stuff like that. I just don't see it. I just don't see how these guys can become successful. If you have Authors of Pain dethrone Finn Balor and JD McDonough for the WWE Tag Team titles, I don't want to say this because it sounds kind of mean, but they seem like a bigger, just like a reboot of like the Judgment Day. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to seem negative or throw shade at any of these superstars because they're all gifted and they're amazing. And I love watching them from week to week. But I don't know. I don't know. It baffles me. It baffles me, and I hope they decide to do something quick. Next, we have the Pride. Of course, it didn't help with Bobby Lashley getting injured. And when Bobby Lashley came back, he was portrayed as a babyface-ish. And then him and the Street Profits came together, and they all wore sunglasses and suits like they were like these big bad things, and they would like kind of be like to the crowd, like, who are you cheering for? Like what? Like, you know what I mean? And then randomly now they're good guys again. Like the Street Profits are once again the Street Profits. It's kind of disgusting. I got to be honest. Makes my blood boil that WWE, they can't get Bobby Lashley right. And if he leaves the company, I feel like all WWE has to blame is themselves. And, not trying to, start up a war here or anything like that. But it's very prominent that, I don't know, this has kind of happened to Bobby Lashley throughout his career. But, I don't know. Hopefully good things happen. 1,010%. Hopefully good things happen. Next, we have the LWO. We had the LWO. Right now, they're kind of still floating around Monday Night Raw, getting infused with the Judgment Day of all, again, you have Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio feuding each other and probably going to fight at WrestleMania for the fourth time, part 4. Of course, there you see Santos Escobar in there. He's not in there anymore. But being brutally honest, I felt like the LWO would have been more successful if Santos Escobar would have stayed. Maybe Rey Mysterio could have, primed him up to be like, he could have been the manager. Santos Escobar could have been that babyface Latino wrestler that was successful. Last time you saw a successful wrestler from the Latino culture was Eddie Guerrero. And then you had, and then he left, turned his back on Rey Mysterio to start his own crew. We'll get into his crew next. And then you had Andrade come in. Then you had Dragon Lee. And then it just doesn't seem to mesh right now. I honestly, I don't know. They're more or less just there to there. And, obviously we talked about Santos Escobar's crew, Legado del Fantasma. Humberto Carrillo, also, Angel Garza. I don't know where these guys would have been as well. Humberto Carrillo was a huge, amazing babyface. Should have stayed a babyface. Angel Garza was that romantic guy with the rose in his mouth. All competed on 205 Live. They also competed for the Intercontinental Championships and stuff like that. And they kind of messed it up. WWE messed them up bringing these guys together. Santos Escobar should have stayed with the LWO. I felt like the LWO would be way more successful right now. And if you would have had Andrade come back to WWE, not jump into the babyface role too quickly, maybe something, could have stemmed off from that. But as of right now, Legado del Fantasma failing. And this has already failed. A-Town Down Under has already failed. It's just a matter of time until we see Austin Theory finally lay a right hand on Grayson Waller's Aussie chin. I feel like Austin Theory has a lot of potential. I feel like when Grayson Waller was promoted to the WWE main card, I don't think he was ready to leave NXT just yet. I don't think he was. Being brutally honest. Like I said, I'm not trying to be mean or throw negative shade their way, but I just think he wasn't ready. Much like you saw Austin Theory was 2 years too early. I feel like if Austin Theory had the push right now, if he would have won the Money in the Bank, I feel like overall he would, I don't know, I feel like it would be a different story. All right, guys, we are now down to our fifth and final segment on a Wednesday. We're going to talk about my Wednesday's weekly wrestling news, all the massive breaking news headline stories in the professional wrestling industry. So, hey, stay tuned. All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, here to talk on the GSMC Sports Network about your favorite thing, professional wrestling. Also, huge height and huge entertainment factor. It's been a conglomerate for the longest of years, for many fortnights. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some of my wrestling news roundup. So we're going to start off a little hot here with Randy Orton throwing out the first pitch on, for the St. Louis Cardinals. Obviously, he's from St. Louis, Missouri. Not really any shocker there to any of you guys. But, I always love it when there's cross sports, especially when you saw Liv Morgan throw out the first pitch to, I think it was a Red Sox game. And then you had Damian Priest for Yankees. Or did he throw out the first, or was he just at the Yankees game? I don't know. But I love that kind of stuff. I think it's so cool when sports stars, come together, able to put animosity aside, wrestlers, especially when they break kayfabe and they're like, you know what, I'm going to show the world that, I love other sports too. And essentially, yeah, the wrestling, professional wrestling is amazing, and you got to keep kayfabe. But, sometimes, it's something bigger than that. Love for baseball, America's pastime. Speaking of which, you saw the White Sox win a game after 21 losses. Crazy. Absolutely nuts. I can't believe I found a team that sucked more than the Los Angeles Angels. Bravo. So Randy Orton throws out the first pitch for the St. Louis Cardinals. Absolutely love it. Absolutely badass. Next, we have Mark Henry's son. Mark Henry's son is he's a great wrestler. I think he won a bronze gold medal. Don't quote me on that. I should fact check that first. But Mark Henry, he's been recently within breaking news and within wrestling news and stuff like that. He's been seeming like, kind of feeling like he's been betrayed by WWE, also AEW, and he wants to make his opinion known that that certain promos, he doesn't like it. Why are they doing this? Or I forgot there was an NXT star that did something, and he was upset about it. I forgot what it was, but Mark Henry, he's a Hall of Famer. Obviously, some people know him as Sexual Chocolate. He was part of the Nation of Domination. He married Mae Young, and he was the world's strongest man. He came back and with this badass attitude, destroyed everybody in his way back in when you had The Undertaker, when you had Edge, when you had Rey Mysterio and Batista. He was a dominant superstar, and now I think he's great. I will always have respect for Mark Henry. But I think it has to come to a point where, maybe you should give a little bit of love to the wrestling industry as well, my man. Just not trying to throw shade, not trying to say anything, but, now you have his son. His son, in talks with Triple H of becoming a WWE superstar. I think it's great. I think it's great. Promote any young talent you possibly can. Obviously, he has wrestling genes with Mark Henry. But, a lot of times you also have some, wrestling second generation superstars, or even some third generation superstars that can't really make the cut. I'm not already setting him up to fail, guys. Calm down. But I feel it's not nepotism. I don't think that Triple H is going to hand out, opportunities to fight for the WWE just because somebody's like his son, kind of like a Bronny James being drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers kind of feel. But no, honestly, it would be 1,010% awesome to see this kid do great. I'm not saying that he wouldn't. Obviously, he's a talented superstar. But, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Next, and I'm not going to stay on this too much because if you don't know this girl already, obviously I'm not going to I'm not going to sink too much into it. The viral hot tuba girl was spotted at WWE SummerSlam. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought, wrestling fans come from everywhere, guys. No matter who it is, they come from everywhere. I like I said, I like it when things kind of mesh. Her kind of, I had to bring this up because it was very, it's been all over social media and on the news and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I can't really, shy away from this or anything like that. But, obviously, her for, how she became viral and stuff like that. If you don't know, you go check it out. But, I just thought it was kind of cool. Total wrestling fan. Anybody in the world can become a wrestling fan. Super cool. Logan Paul is no longer the WWE United States champion. Where is he going to go from here? What's the potential storyline? How long will he kind of stay away from the WWE? To be honest, if he comes back this Friday night on SmackDown, it would be kind of huge. It'd be kind of huge. But the YouTube star has failed. He lost to the LA Knight in his home turf, WWE SummerSlam at Cleveland Brown Stadium. And there's a lot of speculations, a lot of rumors going around because of the tweet he sent about the Olympics, and I'm not going to get too much into it. People believe that WWE, internal affairs started to kind of shift around the idea of the LA Knight winning. I think originally Logan Paul was supposed to retain his title. Like I said, it's all speculations, allegations, obviously, professional wrestling, you read a lot of stuff and, it's interesting things because 1,010%, that could be a huge reason why negative publicity to any business in the world is just, bad juju. You don't want none of that. And, Logan Paul, maybe he did ultimately pay the price and be dethroned as the United States champion. The LA Knight, it came to a huge shocker to me as well. I was like, all right, so now you have the LA Knight becoming the WWE United States champion. Logan Paul is now kind of nowhere to be seen. I don't think he's going to come back to WWE SmackDown for at least a couple of weeks. If he comes back this week, I'm going to be a little shocked. I'm going to be a little shocked, to be honest. But I don't know, kind of crazy, a lot of stuff happening in the professional wrestling world. Next in the professional wrestling, breaking news, Matt Riddle claimed that Goldberg, in their first altercation, bragged about his bank account, which is, I can't really say much here. I think, Bill Goldberg, I think, when he made it to professional wrestling, I honestly didn't think he was very good. I don't think he put on quality matches. I thought he was totally rough. He was a little rigid inside the ring, hurt superstars, caused the end of Bret Hart's career. Essentially, or not essentially, what is that? Allegations or, Matt Riddle also, you're not really the positive guy out of the professional wrestling industry. He has a mouth on him as well. It's it would be cool to see these guys go at it in the wrestling ring. That would be pretty cool. But then it would be interesting because right now you have Matt Riddle killing it in his respective on his respective wrestling promotion. I think Bill Goldberg is always on the eyes of the WWE creative. I hope that Triple H don't. I hope they don't. I hope they don't bring him back for another title run or for him. Last match I think he was in. Both him and the Undertaker almost paralyzed each other, and I don't know. You got to let bygones be bygones. It was crazy. Obviously, stuff happens inside the ring, but definitely, don't want to see that happening anytime soon. So next we have The Rock's Smashing Machine film wraps up. What does this mean for the Bloodline Civil War? What does this mean for Roman Reigns? What does this mean for Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes, you have the final boss coming back to take down Cody Rhodes. Maybe this will give some steam heading towards Survivor Series where Cody Rhodes needs partners. So then he first recruits Sami Zayn and Jey Uso because they're his boys. Then he recruits reluctantly, but because Jey has a soft spot for his brother, he gets Jimmy Uso. And then finally, you need one more guy who hates the bloodline more than Cody Rhodes, or the new young bloodline. Who hates the new young bloodline more than Cody Rhodes? It's Roman Reigns. So that would be pretty interesting build up, with that could be also a way they could, kind of bring this into fruition and stuff like that. But man, the Rock looks he doesn't look recognizable. That's crazy. Maybe because he has hair. I don't know. Just kidding. But no, it should be interesting to find out what The Rock has in store for that. Next, we have AEW claims that the Lucha Brothers are headed toward WWE. It's one thing for wrestling news sources to say, "Oh, we have speculations that the Lucha Brothers are heading toward WWE," but AEW came out in themselves and said that. They came out and they said that the Lucha Brothers are going to eventually head toward WWE. And what does this mean for WWE? What could WWE possibly wrap their head around? Especially after, and I'm not trying to, throw shade at WWE for this, and I know it's not really under the Paul Levesque era kind of thing, but you really haven't seen a lot of Hispanic, like the LWO, like Legado, like Bel Fantasma. Not a lot of success. Not a lot of success. Andrade's first run in WWE. Not a lot of success. Alberto Del Rio winning and then leaving the WWE due to scrutiny and a bad departure. It'd be a huge, and then you have the talks about NXT going to Puerto Rico, and WWE hitting Puerto Rico, having Puerto Rico and South America, Mexico, Latin America. I think that's the right terminology. Wanting to start their own wrestling promotion, WWE wanting to start a branch, kind of like the CMLL, obviously, with the new additions of Stephanie Vaquer, Andrade. And if you have these guys like the Lucha Brothers come into your brand, 1,010%, they could be, tag team champions right off the bat. So I just thought that was kind of cool. And lastly, kind of cool, we got TNA Bound for Glory heading toward Detroit. Obviously, you have the Detroit Lions right now, heavy favorites to at least make the NFC Championship game. But, Detroit fans, before you see the Detroit Lions possibly make it to the Super Bowl, maybe you can watch some Impact, TNA Impact Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory is a huge pay-per-view for TNA Impact. Is it possible that you could probably see some NXT wrestlers on the biggest show? I would see so. I would definitely say so. Would be interesting to see, big matches like AJ Styles finally making it back. Nick Nemeth wanted to challenge AJ Styles for the longest time. Two of the best superstars to touch foot inside the TNA brand. So yeah, honestly, 1,010% could be cool. Could be cool. Heading to the Motor City, Detroit. Da-na-na-na. Detroit. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Hope you guys had an amazing time. Hope you guys are wrestling satisfied. I'm just kidding. No. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Do not go anywhere. We got my man Emran's Soccer Podcast coming up at 9:30 in just 9 minutes. So stay tuned for that. Remember to follow us on social media like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter /X, and Facebook for more content and updates. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the GSMC Sports Network. And like I always say, if I've made you a wrestling fan by now, we have other sports podcasts. We have basketball with my boy Nelson. We also have the Andrew Tate podcast with entertainment. Meeting sports news is pretty badass. And we also have football with Kenneth. The Chip Shop Football Podcast with my boy Manny. The NFL's right around the corner. Get caught up on all your hot off-season NFL talk with those two podcasts. And when it comes to NFL, something you also get excited about is fantasy sports. We got my boy on the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast, Chris Shepard, talking about your potential draftums and during the seasons, your sit-ems, your stardoms. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. We got Sam with baseball. We also got TJ and Jeremy with sports on GSMC. So make sure you tune into the podcast. It's going to be awesome. Like I said, thank you so much. That's it for me. Stay beautiful. Love you guys. And we're going to have a fun Thursday. Obviously, Thursday, we talk about TNA, Ring of Honor, AEW. Try to steer away from WWE, but sometimes it's hard. So, yeah, we're going to talk about, non-WWE issues tomorrow. Or something big happens and we end up talking about WWE, but who cares? It's wrestling. It's all, it's like syrup, baby. It's good on everything. You know what I mean? It's all gravy, baby. All right, guys, that's it for me tonight. Sorry if I'm talking your ear off. Maybe I just don't want to go. Don't make me go. No, I'm just kidding now. Have a great day. Have an amazing night. Get a good night's rest. And hey, stay beautiful.
Let's
go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to